Hey guys, what's up? Oh boy, it seems like you guys got me at a good time. It seems like I'm receiving a phone call.
Bro, why are you taking so long to upload? What are you doing right now?
Phone's not even plugged in. I don't know. I've already talked about this boy's life for AP Lang, so I've basically contributed all I can to society. But after spending all my rent money on the Kim Wexler YouTubes, I'm gonna need some extra profit. So welcome back to another installment of Enrique talks about incredibly niche subjects that only he gives a shit about. I pulled two random things off my shelf, so let's see what we talk about first. Only one of these has Iron Man in it. The Avengers have been an ever-present fixture in the Marvel Universe since their creation back in 1963. The superhero ensemble was designed to bring together some of Marvel's most up-and-coming characters, uniting fan favorites like Iron Man, Thor, the Incredible Hulk, and Captain America. In the years since their introduction, the Avengers have become the flagship team, being not only the place where readers can find many of their most popular characters, but also the epicenter for some of the company's biggest ever stories. So naturally, you milk it as much as you can. Boy, I love giving birth the first time. Let's do it again! The West Coast Avengers sought to showcase some of Marvel's then-forgotten characters, with its roster featuring the likes of Hawkeye, the Vision, Wonder Man, Mockingbird, and the Scarlet Witch. Throughout the title's 10-year run, the West Coast Avengers represented one of the first major instances of a spin-off title, specifically in the realm of team-ups, offering a unique alternative to the long-running Avengers series and giving readers an opportunity to learn more about the heroes rarely focused on in these bigger titles. This is a series I've always had a deep fascination with. The series was so influential, in fact, that many of the events that happened in West Coast Avengers are often misremembered as happening in the main Avengers title, such as Scarlet Witch having and eventually losing her children, Vision dying, Hawkeye's overall importance in the team. Following the release of issue 102, the West Coast Avengers were finally laid to rest, and this experiment had pretty much ran its course. As a result, the last issue sought to bring a sense of closure to the series, and teased a brand new venture that would fill in its place. Marvel's history began in 1961, but really it started in 1994. The year Nancy Kerrigan got attacked and OJ got arrested. ForceWorks, what do you mean what's that? You know, ForceWorks, the Marvel Comics equivalent to the Holocaust. The team was meant to be different from other superhero teams in that they stopped disasters from ever occurring rather than allowing them to happen. First off, I want to say that the first issue has this really interesting gimmick cover that I wish I could show you, but the son of a bitch who owned it before me decided to glue it shut. So fuck me if I buy a second copy to show you the cover. I bought a second copy to show you the cover. I also bought a bag of Skittles because, oh boy, I just needed a snack. This is one for the books for sure. First off, it's a wraparound cover. You get Iron Man in the middle along with the ForceWorks crew. But the thing that makes it super gimmicky is its origami style pop-up. Wow, this cover is so cool. I can't wait for what the comic has in store for us. So let's take a look at ForceWorks. The first issue gives us a general idea of what the status quo is, with the West Coast Avengers being disbanded after an attack from the East Coast Avengers. Iron Man pitches the idea of this new team and invites US Agent, Scarlet Witch, Wonder Man, and Spider-Woman to join. He takes him to the headquarters called The Works. That's a reference to the title! Nominating Wanda as team leader, he introduces them to Plato, the AI that ran their new HQ, and the Hex mainframe, called the Chaos Computer, which would work alongside Wanda's probability powers, determining where the team was needed most. The first issue of ForceWorks also introduces the brand new character of Sentry, who just pops into existence from Scarlet Witch. Sentry just totally screams 90s. He has a cool sounding name that doesn't actually tell you anything about who he or what he does. He has a ridiculously over detailed costume design. He uses a freaking axe called Parallax that allows him to teleport by cutting through the fabric of space. While collecting their things from the West Coast compound, ForceWorks was attacked by Kree soldiers. Ray, it's Wonder Man and he dies. Killing off another main character after the issue itself states that Mockingbird had died in West Coast Avengers seems like a pretty cheap shot for the new readers. Wonder Man's pointlessly killed off for no other reason than to have a cheap dramatic event happen in the beginning of the series. Those two deaths back to back feel like a big slap in the face of the new readers. How could things have gone wrong so quickly? Not a great start so far. We pick up on issue 2 after part of the group gets kidnapped by aliens called the Scatter and dropped into a slave planet where its inhabitants imply that Sentry might be the Scatter's leader. They're only in the planet for what feels a few pages before Iron Man and Sentry help them escape. Bringing in another issue, the pacing. It feels like the characters just jump from one thing to another. Even here Sentry can conveniently travel through space, really removing any stakes since, hey, you can just go pick them up. In this issue alone, the team gets kidnapped, fight for a while, then goes back home where they tell us the Scatter is coming. And this group also has one of my least favorite tropes in comics, the super smart AI. It knows everything, leaving room for nitpicking. How does it know this thing that it possibly shouldn't know? How does it not know this thing even the reader was able to figure out? For what reason was the AI not able to detect this guy, the recorder, who for whatever reason wants to monitor ForceWorks? They've only existed for 2 issues and already they have the interest of the Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. Forceworks travels to my hometown of Houston, Texas. Pay us a visit. There's a Whataburger on every corner.
Wow, what a burger.
And why is Spider-Woman wearing a Forceworks branding tank top? Better at what they do, what the fuck? Again, there's not much to say. The team fight for a bit, travel across space, they send the Scatter to who knows where, and the fight's over. I don't know, it's a weak first storyline. Their whole gimmick is already thrown out the window with the team reacting to a threat that's already started. Already, it's just another boring team-up comic. After their first accidental adventure, they get caught by surprise by a political crisis in the Baltic nation of Slovenia, which faced an ethnic civil war. Okay. Tom Tenney sadly only drew the first 4 issues, and after that it was a revolving door. During Forceworks' 22-issue run, there were literally a dozen pencilers who worked on it, at least. Whatever the case, Ray Garcia inked nearly every issue of Forceworks, which helped keep the look of the series somewhat consistent throughout all those changes. But that doesn't mean it looks particularly good. It is 90s comic books after all. Over-exaggerated muscles, overly sexualized female characters, and just a shit ton of wires everywhere. It's not Forceworks' fault that it looks like shit, it was just following trends at the time. You know that one picture of Captain America with his big ass tits? Yeah, it was kind of like that. Iron Man looks terrifying. He doesn't look heroic. He looks like he's gonna congratulate me for being so mature for my age. Probably the best art to come from this entire comic are these last few pages from issue 4. Even US Agent's shitty fucking costume looks kinda pretty decent. Anyways, a warrior named Ember and the government-sponsored Black Brigade attacked Forceworks in different occasions as they arrived. Ember was slain in a confrontation with Black Brigade after Spider-Woman and US Agent figured out his true intentions of wanting to destroy an artifact the government wants to use for evil. Iron Man called the mission off, stating the problem was already solved. After that, blah blah blah, political conflict averted, who cares? Skipping over a few issues, we get the most important, yes, most forgotten thing to come out of Forceworks, and that would be... Throughout the series, Iron Man had been a bit out of character. Before the series started, he had a falling out with War Machine. Tensions in the ranks of Forceworks escalated since Iron Man frequently made decisions without the Scarlet Witch's consent or knowledge, eventually having to kick him out entirely. Which leads us to the Avengers The Crossing storyline. Turns out Iron Man was evil, and had been since his first encounter with my favorite MCU character, Kang the Conqueror, which makes no fucking sense if you have a brain. So let me get this straight. The first encounter was in 1964, with the crossing taking place in 1995. So for 30 years, Iron Man was pretending to be good, while actually being brainwashed to be able to help Kang, a time-traveling villain, in his conquest? Sure. Long story short, Forceworks gets involved with the Avengers in stopping evil Iron Man with the help of time displaced young Iron Man. Because sure, why not? At the works, he kills Amanda Chaney, a character who doesn't fucking matter, and attempted to kidnap Spider-Woman's daughter. He was stopped by both teams and they used young Tony Stark to break old Tony Stark out of his trance and sacrifice himself, thus leaving young Tony Stark as the new Iron Man. After losing Stark, the team chooses to disband, thus ending the legend of Forceworks. The group was adapted into the supporting cast of the Iron Man animated series, featuring all the characters from the comics, minus US Agent. No! And apparently the group still lived on with a small mention in the Civil War storyline, but Forceworks would finally have their big comeback in 2020 in the miniseries Forceworks 2020, which connects to some Iron Man event going on around the same time. It wasn't meant to go beyond the 3 issues. And so ends the epic tale of Forceworks. But here's the thing, the series never really had a clear identity and never quite found its footing. It didn't have the same lightning in a bottle that was West Coast Avengers, and it didn't have the same star power as the regular Avengers titles. The Avengers would be relaunched by Kirby and George Perez, with the team trying to revitalize the Avengers' popularity that was pretty much lost in the 90s. Not only sought to revitalize that popularity, but pretty much brought an end to all spin-off groups did it for a while. It was just plain old Avengers going forward. They were reborn in a sense, oh fuck.